Next on the agenda, presentation on the Pebble Ridge, Woodridge sewer project. Mr. Butler from the Bucks County Water and Sewer Authority is here.
I'm going to slide this a little closer.
Do you need a mic on your lapel, or do you have one?
I think I'm okay. Can everybody hear
No,
me?
You gotta use the mic because
You need
it's
a
on
mic.
TV, John. Sorry.
Stand at the podium.
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Maybe somebody in the
It's
back
for
could
the
bring.
TV. You don't actually project on the mic.
Okay, so everybody can hear me all right. We just have to
Can
do
hear
this
you,
for the
just
TV.
can't see
Okay.
you.
Got it.
If you're
Okay.
doing anything with your face, I won't be able to see it.
All right, let me slide over this way a
wanna
little
pull
to the
that.
right since I don't need the computer. Hopefully that'll be good.
Why don't you bring the,
Oh, they're gonna bring you out your mic, right?
I just want everybody to see it's a little thinner than, there we go. It's a little thinner than I anticipated when I got it from the engineer.
okay.
But basically, this board shows in the green what's been completed to date as of Friday, which is across, if you're familiar with Alms House Road, the Both property is down here, right on the edge of this parcel. This is where the creek comes in on the edge of here. This is where we connected to the interceptor. We came up, we crossed over Alms House Road, and we just set another manhole this morning. We've passed the area where there'll be the connection for Militia Hill Road. They're going to drop back and do that. The next 4 to 6 weeks, this is the anticipated schedule. We'd like to do more than that if we can. We're going to try. The biggest problem we have is, other than rock, but we knew that, is weather.
Could you just say the roads when you're saying
Yes,
section?
this is, unfortunately, we're not on the road yet.
Got it.
Alms House Road is here, and this is as you go down the hill, the back way out of town. This is Militia Hill, which comes on to Alms House, and this is going to end up, in the next week or two, will be in Shady Brook Circle? Yes, I keep calling it Stony Brook, it's Shady Brook.
You're so impressive.
Shady Brook Circle. So anyway, we're going to move there. We'll be moving down Pebble Ridge Road. Letters are going out tomorrow, probably be postmarked Thursday or Friday, to all the residents that are going to be affected in the areas we've completed and will be completing in the next 4 to 6 weeks, asking them to contact us so we can come visit the home and determine where their lateral connection ultimately will be. So if they want to make adjustments to it, they can do that. Anyone that doesn't want to get gravity, even if we have the gravity mains and wants to go with a grinder pump because they want to have it a certain location on their property but it won't flow, they can do that as well. It's going to be up to them. But we're going to do that contact over the next week to 10 days. We do have, this has been, the Militia Hill was originally, I believe, 9 low pressure and 6 or 7 gravity due to the density of the rock we encountered here, which we didn't expect to be as difficult to deal with as it was. We changed all these to low pressure, which was, I think, an additional 7 or 8 properties. That way we could raise this line that's already been installed and avoid a significant amount of rock. During a short period, probably about a week to 10 days, we had to do what we call pegboarding, which essentially is pre-drilling the rock in advance to be able to rip it out. Machines that we use to peck the rock or to grind the rock, both machines literally were failing because of the temperature being generated by the friction, and it was not doing anything to the rock, it was just damaging the equipment. That's why we went with the pre-drilling. We're going to anticipate that that's going to happen in other places based on rock borings, so I already asked Gilmore to look at the boring logs and to see where we're close to rock becoming an interference in the gravity line, and we're going to look to see if we need to pre-drill ahead of that. That cost for that will come out of contingency, but in certain instances it may allow us to speed up the work, so there may be some savings at the back end. The change over here to low pressure and the potential change on Alms House Road for an additional 13 people to low pressure would also result in a labor savings, which would be a credit, and a material pipe savings, which would be a credit. Basically, that would hopefully offset some of the money already spent on the pre-drilling. But those amounts will be calculated after the project is completed. There was a letter sent to the township requesting that you review the potential that we were going to change those over. So at some point we need to sit down and go over that. We don't have to do it tonight, but that's something that would be, again, I think 13 people. Everyone on this side is already going to be low pressure. I believe it affects the folks on this side of the road. But going to low pressure for this section will significantly reduce their costs privately as well, because they'll only have to dig one hole. If we experience the same density of rock in the road here, every one of these people trying to put a gravity line in down 10 feet is going to have a plumber come in and have to bust out rock, and it's just going to get extraordinarily expensive. So basically, just as an overall, this is where we plan to be in the next 4 to 6 weeks, is along Pebble Ridge Road, and then potentially Militia Hill. I'm just trying to get the equipment for this set up, so that may be after school starts or stops. That's when we're going to do that. Same with this one. If we do it, it won't be until late in June, just because we don't want to deal with interfering with the buses and the bus stops. So that's pretty much it. Does anyone have any questions that they'd like to ask? Yes.
If low-pressure lines result in a savings, why wouldn't you design the whole thing for low pressure
Well,
versus gravity?
You can. Not everybody likes low pressure, and low pressure system, if you did it system-wide, you have to gauge how much line size you'd need and where you'd need to have junctions and things like that. It's just a different design. It's
Right.
definitely less expensive, but it's more maintenance eventually.
Okay.
So it's one of those things where it's a trade-off. But in this particular instance, because of what we found here and the boring logs, we know gravity's not going to work. Gravity is much less maintenance down the road.
Okay.
We have a program that hopefully we're going to be able to extend to these folks for maintenance on grinder pumps. But we've used them before in the township. We've had good history. There are failures on them to a certain degree, but nothing that would stop you from using them.
Gotcha.
But for maintenance purposes, we really try to avoid it when we can. But in this particular instance, it's a cost savings because of the rock. If there was no rock, it would be all gravity, because it's just easy to put in and there's no muss, no fuss, so to speak. But with this rock, it could extend the amount of time it takes to put it in.
Right. And John, sometimes when you have the low pressure, and we had dealt with that when we did it years ago, was allowing, if you don't have enough people tying in initially, you have basically the lines get septic.
Right, you have to flush
You have to flush
regularly.
regularly
because
you don't have enough flow.
Right, the horsepower,
volume
the
given.
low-pressure system is, the horsepower of the entire system
Okay.
is what makes it work.
Gotcha.
So ultimate build-out is when it works best.
Right.
Yeah.
Other questions from the board?
I thought it was interesting.
Wait, just a second.
I thought it was interesting in our last meeting too, when you mentioned, because I also about the grinder pumps, and they're $10 a month for insurance.
Right.
Which, you think, how often do they break? But if you tell the story about what you find or have found in there, it opened my eyes that it's just not.
Yes, in
The
Pebble
Christmas
Hill,
lights.
in Pebble Hill, there was an incident, and it's a couple years ago, but we kept getting calls because one of the pumps kept failing. So we finally went out and pulled the entire thing out. And it's a sealed system, so you don't actually have to look at it if you don't need to. But one of the kids who lived at the house had taken a string of about 20 feet of Christmas lights and just kept flushing it, and they kept pulling it until the pump basically got wrapped up with it, and we had to pull the whole pump out.
Jeez.
Thankfully, it didn't do any permanent damage. We were able to reinstall it, but those are the kind of, you do get crazy stuff. Kids flush stuff.
Trying to do, have it closed.
He was enjoying, he said he liked watching it go across the floor on its own when he would hit the,
Oh, that's so fun. Anybody else have questions before I take from the audience? Would you please take the microphone and identify yourself up here?
Yeah.
Right here. Identify yourself with your address.
I'm Kelly Keegan, Willow Lane, Warrington, part of this. Can you help me with the timeline and understanding what roads are going where and about a time frame?
yeah, Willow
Estimate when
Lane,
we
I
can
would
hook
say,
up?
just only because we're going to end up, I'm going to have 2 crews. Probably after we get to around this point, we're going to start a second crew over here.
Okay.
So if I was to take, and this is just a preliminary, I'll try to get you a more firm, if you want to leave your contact information, but I would say probably October, we would be in this area. Yeah.
So I have another question. With that being said, when you do finish a street, when can people hook up versus other streets not even having a pipe yet?
We're going to be, what I'm trying to do, and I think Dr., and I can't remember his last name, owns this property here. He actually has a discharge into the stream. So we're going to connect him if he's not already, he might already be connected. Mr. Both also. So we're going to try to do it, as long as we get a couple of manholes ahead of you so that we don't have backflow of odor, we should be able to have people connect as they want to.
So that's a good thing to hear, I mean, because
Yeah.
we've been waiting.
I want to get everybody, as many people
Okay.
connected as quickly as we can. Obviously, this is an issue that we have to stay on top of.
Okay, and then one more question. When you said something about contacting people when you're in the
A
neighborhood,
letter will go out to you
but
individually.
what that means, do we let a plumber know now where we think it should be before you contact us?
No, what you want to do is you want to check with us just to make sure it's first of all, it's viable where you want to
Okay.
put it.
Okay.
And secondly, we want to be able to do that because we're going to mark on our plans where we've decided that you mutually come up
Okay.
with what works for you.
Yeah.
That way we know when we get there, we'll be ready.
All right, cool.
And the plumbers, unless you're putting in a grinder pump, you don't want the plumber to do a gravity line until the line's in the street. You can put in a pump ahead of time because it's not gravity fed, so you can pretty much put it wherever you want.
Well, we don't know that yet, right?
No, well, it's up, yeah, we can make a determination once you get the letters.
All right, thanks.
And but if you need something ahead of time, feel free to contact our office. Somebody can be sent out to talk to you.
Right. And just so the board knows.
Thank you.
The letterhead, we created, our office jointly worked
Right.
together, administrators, to put the letterhead, so it has both our letter, our seal, and the authority's seal, so they know it's a partnership.
And
And
it-
people can call either one, but, you know, should probably on like.
And anybody, if anybody has, we did get a call, there's a graduation party someone's having on the 15th, so they just said, please don't be in front of my house digging. And anytime that comes up, if anybody has a party or anything, just let us know. If we can avoid being in front of your house, we'll try to do that if it's possible. Okay?
Just one other question. Website updates on the
Yes.
township.
We did one last week. I will do one Friday. We're trying to, unfortunately, and some of you already know this from the committee, we ran into every possible problem. We had 45 days of rain.
Yeah, yeah.
Which in this area on Mr. Both's property it was a swamp. We couldn't work for a long period of time. And with the rock delay and everything, we got a slow start. Now we're going to start moving pretty quick, so we'll be doing regular updates on Fridays, and there will be one on this
Is
Friday.
that every Friday?
We're going to try to do it every Friday.
Perfect.
Yes.
But it's, and we also sent, just remind the board, it was, Mr. Close said we put a flyer together so that residents in the area, hopefully everyone just put it on their refrigerator.
Yep.
Gives the information on the websites where to go, on the telephone numbers to call and everything like that.
Correct.
And we sent that out a while ago.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
John,
Thank you.
I'm sorry,
Sure.
I noticed Alex isn't here,
He's on vacation and Jim's on vacation.
but, and let me, we received his letter
Yes.
here, and he is saying that he would like our concurrence with what you just explained.
Right,
So
the-
do you want us now to nod our heads, or what do you want?
No, what I said was, this was done because there really was no choice because of the rock. It's the Alms House Road one that we wanted to talk to the township supervisors about and maybe consult with your engineer, just so that everybody's on the same page. It doesn't have to be done now. This is not holding anything
Okay.
up. So it's really a matter of everybody kind of sitting down, just getting on the same page. It's going to be a benefit in the long run, but it's no rush to get to it yet.
Just
Okay.
let me know and I can put it back on the board's agenda.
Absolutely.
And if you want to have a meeting with the engineer.
We can do that, and then if you want, we can have...
Maybe the committee meeting, the little subcommittee
We
with
could
the
do that.
residents. and-
Yeah, the next
Okay.
meeting, is it July?
July.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be great,
Is that-
actually. That'll work out
Are we still on
good.
good timing then?
Yeah, the schools will be
Okay.
closed, and we can
Okay.
deal with
We'll
it.
talk about it at the July subcommittee and come back to this board in July.